Let's face it, looking at a boring grid of data all day long just isn't very inspiring. But what about if we can transform that data into beautiful organized cards in just one click? Today, I'm going to share with you an incredible trick that allows you to convert any type of data into a beautiful card view, and we're going to do it in just a few lines of code, even if you've never used VBA before. It's going to be a great training. I cannot wait. So let's get started. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to show you how you can turn boring grid data into a dynamic card view, which is fully organized. And we're going to do it in just one click using some very cool VBA tricks, even if you've never programmed VBA before. So we're going to be doing all of this. This template is absolutely free. All you need to do is click the link in the YouTube description, look for the word download. And also, if you're on my website, you can also find it under the word download, the button there, and I'll get this sent right over to you. As always, I do appreciate your continued support, so make sure you do get subscribed and click the notification icon. I create these comprehensive applications every single week and a lot of other cool stuff. If you have not yet, make sure you do also grab my 400 workbook template library. That is the absolute best workbook library that's ever been assembled before. It's got 8 years of my hard work in a single zip file, and comes with a 400 workbook library with custom GPTs on each workbook to help you customize, update, and sell your own Excel-based applications for passive income. All right, so we're going to get started. What I'm going to be doing, we're going to be creating just this. It includes an admin screen where we can set our contact types and a color associated with it. I've got some pictures that are inside this folder, and they're of the contacts. And I also have a contact database. So this is where it's going to grab the data from. The idea is this: I want to create this screen and I want to toggle between this card view and the data view in just a click of a button. We also have a header here that is going to be automatically updated based on the selection. So that's what we're going to be creating. I'm going to take this sample, I'm going to move it over to the side here, and the code that you see is for the sample. So we'll be creating all the code that you see, and it's not too much. I'll walk you through every step, so don't worry about that. As you can see, this contact sheet is absolutely blank. This is where we're going to be developing the card view. We don't have any formats. I do have some sample shapes a little bit below. We have our data and we have our admin screen set. So what I want to do is I want to create a header shape, and I've got one here that's already the sample. So I'm just going to copy this one, and I'm going to bring it directly over into here. So this is just going to be our header. So it's just a shape with some text. We're going to be updating this. This is going to be set by VBA, so we can do something like a card view, and then VBA will take care of the rest. So I'm just going to set this on bold. I do want to create a button. That button is going to be the toggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a shape on that, and I'm just going to use this rounded rectangle here, and I'm going to put it on the right side, and I'll put it right in the middle of this button, and I'm just going to call this toggle view. So I'm going to put it all in caps, toggle view. This button will be the one just as you have seen in my sample, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to distribute between both the card view and the database or table view. We're going to format that. I'm going to give it a color, very simple, and I'll just give it a white outline that's consistent with our theme. And then what we'll do is we can increase the width of that. So let's go ahead and go to the shape outline, and we'll increase the width of that a little bit so that it was similar to the sample, and that should be fine. So I like that. That's fine. We don't need to be too specific about the button. So what I want to do is I want to create cards here. So I've got basically a list of, let's go ahead and view the headings here, so that'll help us. Also, I want to put a background on this worksheet. So how do we do that? Well, the best way to do that, of course, I've got one created. In fact, somebody has suggested to show me how I create the backgrounds. So we're going to go into the page layout and the background, and I'm going to insert the background that I've created. I will create a video in the future of how I create these dynamic backgrounds using AI, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to insert that. Once I've done that, we have a background shape. We will not need the grid lines. So inside also in the page layout, the grid lines view, we can turn that off. We don't need to see the grid lines. Also, we can get to it from here as well. All right, now what we want to do is we want to create multiple shapes. Now I have a shape that's saved down here, and this is going to save me a lot of time, but I'll go over it. So basically, all we have is a group of shapes that have been created. So I've got a circle shape here. Inside this circle shape, we're calling it contact pick. I have this, which is the name called contact field 2. This one, this entire is for our contact field 4. Now I've given them very specific names, contact field 3. I've got an icon here, which is of a briefcase, and then this is called contact field 5. So each individual one has its shape and its name. So the icons don't have any specific name. So the idea is simple. I want to loop through the data. I want to duplicate this called sample contact. So this group shape, I want to duplicate it, and I want to do it for each contact we have. Well, I've got a contact database here. So I want to loop through all the contacts here, all the way from row 4 all the way over to row 14. So once we do that, or the last row, I want to create a card for every individual contact. And if there's a picture, I want to fill it in with the picture. Now I do have the pictures and I've got them saved in this folder here. So this is where I've just got 4 of them. They're square pictures and I'm using these for the contacts, but you can use, of course, whatever you want. Probably good to have square pictures. So I've got 4 of them, Benny, Craig, Debbie, and Tina. So those are the same pictures that I have here under the picture. So all those pictures are going to get pre-filled and I know what folder they're in because I've mapped the folder here. So here's the folder that they're in. I've given this a specific name. This cell is called pick folder. I've also given my contact types a very specific named range. So if I go into the formulas, name manager, and I look under contact types, I have a dynamic named range that's set for these contact types. So we're going to remember that, contact types. Now, why is that important? Because every contact type has an individual color. I want to color the background of the shape either green, blue, or this darker blue here, this navy blue for the customer. So to do that, I want to find the row that they're on. If it's a lead, I want to find the row. Then I'm going to look in column D. I'm going to look at the color, the interior color, and I'm going to match that. So for example, this particular shape, once it gets duplicated, the color is going to be based on whatever the type is inside our contact database. For example, if our type is lead, then we're going to look to the admin. I'm going to find the lead. I'm going to look at the color and I'm going to color it green. And I'll walk you step by step through the VBA so you don't have to worry about that. But this is an extremely powerful way. So the most important thing is we have this called sample contact. And I'm going to drop this out of sight. We don't need it right away because we want to fill in. I'm going to put in about 3 columns, one for column B, C, and D. So that's where our cards are going to go. We're going to use these columns as our guide. Now to do that, the first thing what we want to do is I want to go into VBA and start writing some code. So we're going to save our work so far. Then I'm going to go into the Developers tab. If the Developers tab is not available, just right click on any tab here and then click Customize the ribbon and make sure that the developer is selected. You're going to go into the developer and into Visual Basic and we're going to start writing some code. I've got a sample here. We'll close up that project. This is the project that we're going to be working on called One-Click Card View. There's no code and there's no modules in here. So the first thing what we want to do is insert module. And once we have a module, it's always a good idea to name the module. So I'm just going to call this card view macros. We'll use this module to toggle between both views. So card view macros. And once again, if we want to get to that page, it's properties or F4 to get to this. So the first one I'm going to do is I want to dimension a particular shape for regardless of the view. So the contact shape as a shape. So we're going to use that as a variable throughout all the macros that we're going to write. And we're just writing 3 different macros. The first of which is to create the card view. The second of which is to create the table view. And the third of which is simply to toggle between the 2. So the first thing what I want to do is write our first sub, which is going to be called refresh contact cards. Sub refresh contact cards. Inside this, we will need variables as well. So first of all, I'm going to mention the contact row as long. I need to loop through those rows. I also want to know what the last row is. We need to loop through all the contacts to the last row. So that is going to be a long variable. We're going to loop through some of the contact columns. So I'm going to use contact column as long. For each individual contact, we want to grab all the columns of data, so we're going to need that contact column. I also want to know the type row. Remember I said we have to find the type row to get the color. So that is also going to be a long variable. Also, once again, we're going to grab the picture name. So I wanted to mention the picture name as a string. And also I need to know the full file path of that picture. So we're going to call that the picture path. It's also going to be a string variable. So set that as a string variable. Also, the contact type, I want to locate that contact type It is also going to be a string variable, and I want to know the color that's assigned. So we're going to call that the type color as a string. Remember, we need to grab that color from that individual cell. As we move these cards throughout, we need to keep in mind the top position and the left position. So we're going to dimension the top position as a double variable, also the left position as a double variable. So we need to keep those. Now we're going to take our focus to the contacts sheet. So the contacts is our main sheet where our cards. So with contacts, to make sure we have the name right, I'm going to put the period there just temporarily to make sure that IntelliSense pops up. So I know I've got the sheet right. What we want to do is I want to make sure that we are going to unhide very specific columns that we're going to use for our card view. I'm going to use columns B through G, and I want those visible. So the idea is relatively simple. I'm going to take these columns and I'm going to put our card view. I'm going to use the other columns. Let's say these columns here, they're already hidden. Let's unhide those and make sure that there's no data. So I'm going to unhide this. Oops. You didn't see that. So the idea is this. Actually, we can keep this, and I'm just going to delete this. So the idea is here, I've got some formatted headers here, and I've put in some conditional formatting already here, so to make things a little bit easier. So there's just two rules for alternating rows. So when we have data in here, I've gone over that a lot of times, it's automatically formatted. So the idea is that I want to show these columns only when we want to show the data view, and the card view, we're going to show the other columns. So the first thing what I want to do when we're showing the cards, I want to make sure to show these columns B through G. So that's the first thing we want to do. Dot range, B through G, and then what we're going to do is the entire column, dot hidden equals false. Show card columns. Okay, so once we do that, I want to make sure that we're going to clear all the shapes. So whatever cards that we've previously created, I want to clear them out. The only thing I don't want to do is make sure that we don't delete our sample. It's called sample contact. That sample group must always remain. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop for each contact shape in dot shape. So all of the shapes within the sheet. So next contact shape. I'm just going to run this macro to see if I have any issues yet. Nope, it's good. So we are good to go. So now what we're going to do is if in string, I'm going to look for specific shapes. We're going to look at the name of the shape, contact shape dot name. I'm going to look inside every name. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for something called contact. So that's the full name. Remember, our sample doesn't contain the full name. It's called CONT. So this will be excluded. We will not be deleting this one. So if it contains the full name of contact is greater than 0, meaning it has been found, then what do we want to do? Then I want to delete it. Contact shape dot delete. So delete any existing contact cards, not the sample. So that's going to do that. If there's any cards that exist, they're going to be deleted. Once we do that, we can then set our top position. Our top position, that means like the initial top position, is equal to, and we're going to base it basically on, let's do A2. That'll be our top position, or B2, whatever, it doesn't matter. And our left position also as B2. So let's do that. Dot range. And then what we're going to do is going to set A2, basically row 2, and then dot top. So set initial top position. And I also want to set the initial left position. So the left position is also equal to range A2, but in this case, it's going to be the left of A2, so left. So now, let's do both B2 and B2. That's better. So set initial left position. Great. So once we have that, we are good to go with that contact sheet. We'll return back to it in just a bit. But now what I want to do is I want to focus on our contact database with contact database. So now we're focused on the contact. The first thing what we want to do is determine the last row. So the last row is equal to A, and that means we're looking for the last row of our contact database. In this case, it's column A, it's 14. If it's less than 4, then we can exit the sub. So last row less than 4, we can exit the sub. Once we have that, assuming that we have data, what I want to do is I want to loop through all the data. We're going to do loop, contact row equals 4 to the last row. We're going to close our loop. So I'm going to go down here, next contact row, as we loop through all the data. The first thing what we want to do is I want to grab the contact type. So to do that, let's bring this up a little bit here by double clicking on the home. And I want to look and I see that the contact type is in column C. So I want to put that into a variable. Contact type is equal to dot range C and our contact row dot value. This is our contact type. Once I have that contact type, what I want to do is I want to find the row where it is located. If I look in the admin screen and I look inside our contact type's named range, I want to find the row. Once I find the row, I know that I can extract the color in column D. So to do that, we're going to use the find command. So what we're going to do, if it's not found, it could create an error. So we're going to wrap it on and resume next. Type row is equal to admin.range. What are we looking? We're looking in that named range that I mentioned called contact types. Now inside that, I want to use the find command. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for the contact type. I'm going to use XL values and XL whole, and I want to extract a row. So that's going to grab the row. I want to make sure that if the type row does not equal 0, then it's been found. Then what do I want to do? I want to assign this type color right here. So that's the one. Then the type color is equal to admin.range. I'm looking for a specific interior color. I'm looking in column D in whatever row. I want to grab the interior color of that. So we're going to use D and our type row dot interior dot color. So set type color. Very good. Now that we've set the type color, what I want to do is we're going to take this and we're simply going to duplicate it. This is called our sample contact. So I'm going to copy that text. I'm going to go back into VBA. Now, where are we going to do? We're already inside the contact database. So we need to call out the sheets again, contacts, dot shapes, sample contact, dot duplicate. So we're going to duplicate it. And what I want to do is I want to give it a very specific name right away. And I want to make sure that it includes contact. So to do that, we're going to say the name is equal to contact and the contact row, something unique, contact row. Once I have the contacts and contact row, we're going to be focused on just that. So let's do with contacts dot shapes. So the shapes that we've just created, which is this right here. So we're going to focus on that particular one. But inside that, I want to set some values. So we're going to take a look. So now we've duplicated it. We've given it a unique name, but inside that we have different fields that we are going to be setting up. So let's go ahead and focus on just the individual items inside that group. We're going to use the group items to do just that. So first of all, I want to focus on, let's do the name, right? So if we take a look at the contact database, we see the name is in column B. So what I want to do is I want to populate the name. That name, if we take a look at it, it's called contact field 2. I want to populate the name in that. To do that, we just do group items, and we're going to focus on our contact field 2 dot, and then I want to add in the text frame dot text range dot text. Now I want to add in the contact name. Now where's that contact name coming from? It's coming from equals. No, we're inside the with shapes, so I need to call out the sheet again. Contact database dot range. So that contact database is going to come from column B. That's where we're going to grab our name. So to do that, B and our contact row dot value, set contact name. Once we have that, we can then move on to the next one. So the next one is, let's take a look at here. Inside column C, I want to put the type. Now the type is also going to set the color, right? So we put the contact type here. This is called contact field 3. We also need to set the color. So to do that, I'm just going to actually copy this and we're going to bring it down to the next line here. Group items, contact field 3. The text is based on column C, and this is our contact type. I also want to set the color of our contact type. So to do that, I want to make sure that the type color, if the type color does not equal empty, and just before I want to make sure to clear it out while I remember it, we'll do type color equals. So we're going to clear type color after every contact, just to make sure. So if the type color does not equal empty, then we're going to set the type color. It's this one. Contact field 3. This is where our contact type is. Then the contact field 3 dot fill dot for color dot RGB equals our type color. Set type color. Very good. Now that we set the type color, we can move on. Now what I want to do is to make things a little bit easier. I want to loop through each one of these from column 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I want to loop through all these columns. For the next ones, let's take a look at what's different about these. I have the header and I have the value. I have the header, so this is contact field 5, contact field 6, 7, and 8. So for each one of these, we're going to show whatever the header is and then the value. So that means I want to grab whatever's in 4 and I want to grab whatever's in the contact row. So job title, current pipeline, win rate, active lead score. So for all these, I want both the header value and the value inside the individual row. So we need to do things a little bit different. But because we've mapped them, we could just use a loop. So for contact column equals 4 to 8. So all of those columns, we're going to close our loop always to make things easier. Next contact column. So here's where we're going to make our update. However, if we take a look in column 5, we have a currency. In column 6, we have a percentage. So I want to make sure that these are formatted correctly. I just don't want to put the data. I want to make sure they're formatted. So we need to check on that. So if the contact column equals 5, then I want to specify, I want to format that. Then let's do else and then and if, or we'll probably use an else. So I'll add else if, and then I think else. So we'll add that in just a moment. So if it's 5, what do we want to do? I'm going to copy these here because I want to update this. So if it's 5, I want to format this. So that's going to be 5. So what do we first want to add? If it's 5, I want to add in the header. So it's going to be called current pipeline. So that's going to come equals, it's going to be based on our contact database, dot cells. Why are we using cells? I'm using row. Where's our headers? In row 3, and our contact column. So dot value, so we're going to add in the header. Now what else do we need to add in? I need to add in a new line, and VBCRLF, that's going to be the new line. And what do we want to add in? I want to add in the actual data. So if I just add in the data without formatting it, it's going to be contact database dot cells, and we're going to look at the contact row, comma, contact column dot value. So that's just going to add in our unformatted data, but I really want to format that as a currency. I want to format this part after the new line. So we're going to do format, and then I'm going to just go to the end, and I'm going to format it as a currency. So I'm going to type in currency. So now it's formatted as a currency, but only if it's on 5. So that's great. So we formatted that perfectly, and it will come up there. What do we want to do next? Else if contact column equals 6. Then I want to do something else. So let's take a look at what if it's 6. We don't need this end if. So if it's 6, I want it in a percentage format. So in this case, we just need to update it. So it's going to be very much the same. So let's go ahead and copy this, and we're going to make the updates. I'm going to copy this. It's not a currency. Copy it here. I'm going to paste it down here. So of course, we are going to add in headers. This is 6. Now remember, we can set this to 6, or we can set this to and contact column. It would be the same thing, contact column. Both would work because it's only when these are 6. So either one of these ways will work just fine. So we're setting the text. Now our header is exactly the same. The only difference is we need to format what's in here. It's no longer a currency. So what are we going to do? We're going to format it as a percentage. So here we're going to do a number, and then percentage. So we're going to format that. And this is our win rate. We'll call this win rate percentage. And this is our current pipeline. So our current pipeline, we're going to put a little comment here called current pipeline, and then we're going to put in the amount. So we've covered that. So all of the other ones are simply just however the data is, which is basically the job title, the active details, and the lead score. None of those need to be formatted. So that's where the else comes in. So the else is relatively easy. I'm going to copy what we have here, and I'm just going to remove the formatting. So I'm going to put it right here, copy this. I'm going to put it down here, and then we'll make the updates. There is no format. We can remove the format. It is however the data is. So we can just get rid of the formatting option here. Oops, let's go back over here. We can just get rid of the formatting, which is the last characters here. So once we've cleared out that formatting here, that's the remaining data, so the remaining columns. Once we have that, we're good to go. So we've updated that. So for this, I'm just going to put in currency, percentage, and then remaining data, just so we can have a nice, and this is our remaining data. Very good, so we're almost done. So now we've created all of the columns. Now what we need to do is simply update it as we move through each individual column. I need to update the top position. So what is the top position? So the top position of this shape, top equals the top position. After we've set the left and the top position, we can then update it for the next one. So left position. So this is going to place the shape at whatever top position and whatever left position we've set. Now what we need to do is we need to update it for the remaining shapes. So what I want to do is I can't keep moving it to the right. If it gets to the point where, let's say, it's greater than D1, if the left position is greater than that, I want to go to the next line. So 1, 2, 3 cards, and then we're going to go down. So we can write in an if-then statement. If the dot left is greater than, let's just say, contacts dot range D1 dot left. So if it's greater than that, then what do I want to do? Let's do an else. So then what I want to do is I want to reset that left position. So once again, the left position is going to be basically this, but we need to set the sheet. So we're resetting the left position, but I will need to add in the sheet, meaning I need to put in contacts right here. But what's the top position? The top position is going to have to be incremented, so it's going to be lower. So the top position is equal to our current top position dot top, whatever the current top position is, plus the height of the shape. And then we're going to add a little spacer, plus 15. So we're going to push down top position. So we're going to reset the column. Else, what do we need to do? We just need to increment the left position. So that means if it hasn't gone far, if it's only this or this, we simply need to increase the left position. So that's all we're going to do. That moves it to the right. So left position, and I'm going to just put here something called new row, and then down here existing row. So the left position, if it's on the existing, equals, we'll just do dot left, and I'm going to do plus dot width of the shape, and then a little spacer, plus 15. So increment left position. Now let's focus on the picture name. The picture name is going to be equal to, I'm going to use the contact database, and we remember what column that's in, column I, dot range. So let's just take a look, double check to make sure our data is right. It's going to be in column I. That's our picture name. So I'm going to put that into a variable, I, and the contact row dot value. So that's our picture name. I also want to set the picture path. The picture path is equal to, let's take a look here and remind ourselves from that. Inside our admin, we have a named range. That named range is called pick folder. So let's go ahead and update that. The picture path is the picture folder, and we need to put the backslash on here. And what else do we need? We want to know the picture name. Now it may be incorrect, so oops, forgot the and here. So we also want to make sure that it's correct. So what we're going to do is if directory, I want to make sure that we have a correct picture path. Picture path, and we'll use VB directory, does not equal empty. That means it's correct. Then what are we going to do? I'm going to insert that picture. Now, where are we going to put that picture in? I'm going to put that picture in. I want to fill this particular shape. So we're going to use here our group items, and I want to look at the contact picture. So it's called contact picture group items. So dot group items, and we're going to go for the contact pick. So inside that contact pick, I want to add in the picture. To do that, we're going to use the fill. Then I'm going to use the user picture, and in parentheses, we're going to use the picture path. So that is going to fill circle with pick. Great. So oops, that end with got automated from my auto hotkey, but we don't need that. So that's pretty good. So we've got the picture that's going to fill, and we're going to clean it up, and then we'll take a look at it. So we're just about done with the card view, and we'll take a look, and if there's any issues, we'll correct them. We're going to always save our work before running our macro. I'm going to run this macro here, and we're going to take a look. Pick folder. I think it's pick folder, not quite the right variable that I used. Pick path. Okay, so here's it. Pick path is the correct one. So now inside that pick folder, I need to use, it's a named range, so I need to use brackets with that. That's correct. So brackets for our named ranges. Perfect. That's nice. Let's take a look at that. We see we've got our card view. We're populated. Things are looking pretty good. We can take our sample. We can get that lower. We don't need that sample anywhere on the screen. So I'm just going to bring that down way off the screen so that it doesn't confuse any of us. And I get confused pretty easily. All right, so now what I would like to do is let's go ahead and give this a name, and then we're just going to call it header shape. And the reason I want to give it a name is because I'm going to change the text. When I toggle it, I don't want it to say card view. I want it to show list view or something like that. So that's going to be helpful. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to create the list view. So in the list view, I basically want to populate this with all of our data. And I want to show these columns and I want to hide everything else. So let's go ahead and write that now. So we're going to go back into the VBA and we're going to clean this up and we're going to write our next macro. And that's going to be for our list view. And then the last one will be for toggle, which is very easy. So let's call this sub refresh contact list. Okay, so inside this refresh contact list, what I want to do is I also need the last row. So we're going to dimension the last row as long. Also want to make sure that we're going to show individual columns, H through Q. I want those displayed. So to do that, contacts dot range, then what we're going to say H through column Q, those entire column dot hidden equals false. So we're basically going to display those columns. So once we have that, I also want to make sure that we're going to clear any data. So that means anything that was in the prior list, I'm going to clear it out. So that's starting at H4 all the way through Q in a large row. Contacts dot range, H4 through Q, and then we'll just do a large row, dot clear. We want to make sure we use a clear any existing contacts. So now once we've cleared the area and we've shown, I want to focus on our contact database. So to do that, let's do the last row. We've already mentioned that last row is equal to contact database dot range, and we'll use a large row, 999. Let's bring this up so you guys can see it. And then we're going to do dot end xlf dot row. So last, once again, just like we did, if the last row is less than 4, we're going to exit the sub. That means we have no data. We simply need to bring over the data. So to do that, we're going to use contacts dot range, H4 through Q, and the last row, they both start on row 4, so that's no problem. Dot value is equal to our contact database dot range, and it's going to come all the way from A4 through, let's take a look at this, double check that, A4 all the way through J and our last row. So we're going to do A4 through J and the last row dot value. So this is going to bring over our data. So that's pretty easy. So if we run this macro right now, let's go ahead and take a look at the results. And that looks pretty good. Let's just clear it out one more time just so we know. And we're going to run our macro. Let's bring this down here and bring it up here. We run that macro. We see the data is populating properly. Now what I want to do is I want to populate this toggle button and I want that to toggle automatically. But what we don't want to do is I don't want to move this heading. So I'm going to hold down the control. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to use control 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the properties of this shape right here. And I want to make sure that we don't move or size with cells. I want this header regardless to stay exactly where it is along with the button. We're going to save our work. Now we're simply going to write a macro to toggle it. So that's the last macro that we need to write, and it is a fast one. Sub, here we're going to go toggle views. First thing what I want to do is I want to know what view it's currently on. So we're going to dimension the header text as the string. Remember, I want to customize that header text based on the view. So, but I need to determine what view it is. What is the current view? In order to do that, let's go ahead and turn off application screen updating equals false. And that's going to remove any flashes before the macro ends. We're going to turn on application.screen updating equals true. We're going to write our macro inside there. Now, once we have that, what I want to do is I want to make sure that all the shapes are removed. So once again, we're going to focus on our contact sheet with contacts. Now, what I want to do is I want to clear all the shapes. So clearing, that's why we put this shape up here. We can use it wherever we want. So I want to clear any existing shapes just in case. So to do that, I'm simply going to paste in that code. Remember, this loops through all the shapes and clears any cards that we may have added. Once we do that, I want to determine what is the current view. And we can do that by checking on column B. If column B is hidden, then we know it's the current list view. So if .range B, we're going to look at column B dot, and what I want to do is I want to check its entire column hidden property. So entire column dot hidden equals true. If it's hidden, then what do I want to do? Then I want to basically set show the cards. It means it's currently hidden, so we want to show it. Else, oh, let's put the then here, and then we'll close it and if. So otherwise, we're going to show the list view. So show cards. And then we're going to put here else show list view. So it's currently hidden. Our card column is currently hidden, so we want to show it. First thing what I want to do is I want to take that header text, that variable, and I want to populate it with whatever we want. And basically it is going to look exactly like this. I'm just going to copy the text that's in here because that's exactly what I want to use. So we're going to say the header text, I'm going to paste in that in the card view. So we know that. And then what do I want to do? I just want to run the macro that's going to refresh the card. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it directly inside here. So we're going to run macro to show cards. Likewise, what else? If not, then I'm going to update the header text. So else show list view. We're going to call this list view. I just need to change this to list view. So we can do that. And of course, we want to run the macro and we also want to show the individual columns. So for those, I want to make sure that we display those columns. If we're showing the cards, which columns do we want to hide? I want to hide H through Q. So I want to make sure those are hidden. So let's write that in here right now. Dot range H through Q entire column dot hidden equals true. So hide all list columns. And if it's the list view, what are we going to hide? We're going to hide B through G. So here B through G is going to be hidden. B through G hidden equals true. So we're hiding the list. So basically we're hiding it whichever way we want. And also, of course, if it's the show in the list view, we need to run our macros that refresh the contact list. So here we go. So we're refreshing that macro. This is the run macro to show list view contacts. So that's pretty good. We're turning on application screen updating at the end. I'm going to clear out our extra spaces. Now we just need to add the text into that shape. So to do that, we are going to go directly inside that and just update the text. So dot shapes, it's called a header shape. Inside that header shape, we're going to set the text frame to text range and the text. Now the text is simply going to equal whatever the header text is. So we're going to update that. And once again, this shape is called header shape. So that's the name we've given it to them. We're going to double check Control-1 that we are not moving or sizing. So we don't move or size with cells. That is correct. We want it in one single place. Going to save our work so far. We're going to right click and I'm going to click assign macro here and we want to assign it to our toggle view. So I'm going to click OK on this and then we're simply going to run the macro. We see that we have the list view, our headers updated, toggling view, we have our card updated. So everything is looking really good so far. We've created this very cool card view toggle that allows us to really visualize the data in a really professional and beautiful manner, really bringing our data to life. So I hope you have enjoyed this training. If you do, please make sure to comment below wherever you might find this. Also, check out my brand new updated AI tool pack. I've got 12 different AI features directly in Excel, saving you a tremendous amount of time and helping you with automation, VBA code, formulas, and everything else inside Excel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.